Today on the Nolan Knows podcast, we ask ourselves if LeBron is the king LA wants. Welcome to the Nolan Knows podcast, everyone. Tuesday, February 26th. And once again, we are walking down the path of the drama that is LeBron James in LA. Now, the supposed king, as he likes to call himself, that's also his Instagram name, he has now put himself in a position where we're questioning if he is really still the best player in the league and if he was the right move for Los Angeles to make. Now, after last night's loss to a lackluster Memphis Grizzlies squad, it appears the Lakers have actually hit rock bottom for the season. As of today, they sit 3 games out of the playoff picture and are now 3-7 in their last 10. And the sentiment after the All-Star break was that LeBron had, quote, activated his playoff mode. And their first game against Houston starts, and as I'm watching and as we're all watching, we're starting to worry. Where is this playoff mode? Now, lo and behold, they shockingly come back after being down 20, and morale was up within Laker Nation. And I'll be upfront, I am a Laker fan. I always have been. I probably will always be a Laker fan. So for me, there was a turning point, and I thought, okay, if they can go in and be down 20 and come back against Houston, maybe all the drama before the break with Anthony Davis and what was going to happen to our young core, maybe that has gone to the wayside. So they head to New Orleans after Houston, and they face a Pelicans team, ironically enough, without Anthony Davis, and lose there. So they get a chance to make up this game. Flash forward to last night. They're going against a 14th place Memphis team, and they fall yet again. And to add salt to this blood-gushing wound that it is now, LeBron has actually become the person of blame. Whether that be from his effort, whether that be from his skill level, whether that be if he's actually committed to the cause. There have been a ton of videos released as of today on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook showing LeBron's lack of hustle, his lack of defense. It appears as though he's playing pouty and tired and frustrated with his teammates. Now, I understand things didn't work out for him. It was clear he wanted to bring Anthony Davis in. But the locker room following the loss last night, you could tell that he was really walking a very, very a line of trepidation with how he should word things, but it got to a point late in the interview where he kind of stopped caring and he was very open about how he felt. So here is LeBron in the locker room following the loss last night.
At this point, if you are still allowing distractions to affect the way you play, then this is the wrong franchise to be a part of, and you should just come and be like, listen, I can do this. Like, seriously, you're distracted by playoff pushes and all the stuff that's been talked about this year, that just come and do your job. We do our job at a high level, and that's not a distraction. That's what you want.
Now, just so we're clear, the reporter asks if there are distractions following this playoff push. And obviously, there are going to be distractions with the Lakers at every turn. And LeBron does mention that. But a lot of people have been speculating that he's, in fact, pointing the blame kind of subtly at the young players who are, quote, distracted by what has happened. Now, I do agree that everybody should move on. They should just play basketball. This is the team they have. It's time to take the next step. But at the same time, LeBron is the very reason that there is this much distraction. LeBron is more distracting to the rest of his teammates than any other athlete possibly in the history of not only the NBA, but of sports all across America. He is so many things at once. He's always trying to be not only impactful on the court, but off it as well. He has so much power. He treats his teams like he's the GM. He's the one moving all the chess pieces. So his experiment of going to LA, I don't think has gone the way he had hoped. I think he wanted to come in, get rid of these young guys, and get a guy like Anthony Davis. Now, in years past, he's been able to make these moves at pretty much any point in time as he chooses, and it works out for him. But I think what he's realizing now is that even though he is still possibly the greatest player in the league, he's not always bigger than franchises such as the Lakers. There are certain brand names in sports where they have always had fantastic players in their city, whether that be the Dallas Cowboys, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the New York Yankees, the Boston Red Sox, and the Lakers and the Celtics. I don't think you can go in there and have that much control because the fan base has a lot of pride and they don't want you coming in and messing with their history and their legacy. So many people, regardless of how much they like the Lakers, will never actually like LeBron because they're Kobe fans like myself, or because they grew up watching Magic and saw him win 5 championships and he didn't cause all these distractions. We've seen Kobe win 5 championships. They've seen players like Kareem. They've seen players like Wilt, Jerry West, Elgin Baylor. There is so much history embedded in Laker Nation, and I think LeBron is now coming to a point where he's not bigger than this. And the vultures of the Twitterverse feasted off LeBron's struggles last night. I mean, absolutely destroyed him. It was a smear campaign against LeBron. Clay Travis from Outkick the Coverage, who's also known for being very conservative in his viewpoints, tweets out, quote, "The night before LeBron sat out against the Warriors for, quote, load management, he was up at midnight drinking wine, working on rap songs, and filming a reality show. Seriously, check out the date and timestamp here." Now, in his tweet, he is quoting a video from Complex where LeBron is literally in the studio with 2 Chainz, what appears to be drinking wine, and putting together a rap song. And this is February 1st, the day before he sits out against the Warriors for, quote, load management. And LeBron had been criticized earlier, for his, inability, I should say, to not come back from his injury. Now, he's older. I understand that. You need to take your time and you're waiting for the playoffs. But if he's doing all of this behind the scenes off the court, and then he's pointing the finger at other players and saying, is your first priority basketball? LeBron, your first priority isn't even basketball. It's not. I think LeBron's concern is about all of his extracurricular activities as well as his kids. And that's totally fine. But don't start pointing the finger at everybody within the organization and saying that their level of commitment or focus is not where it should be, because you're the one that's doing all these things off the court. You're the one, asking for the trades, having your friend, Rich Paul, the agent of Clutch Sports that you run, come out publicly with this Anthony Davis statement and then making it awkward for everyone else in the locker room. You've killed the chemistry. It's what you've done. And do I think these guys should move on? Sure they should. Of course. But this is a generation of basketball players who are very sensitive, who read everything on social media, so you have to know the room in which you're working with. Here's another quote. This is FS1's Jason Whitlock. He tweets out, quote, "LeBron is bored with basketball. He's a talk show host, a public intellectual, an educator, a social justice warrior, a wine connoisseur, and now apparently a rap music producer." End quote. So once again, people are absolutely destroying him this morning because of what he said last night, because the Lakers are 3 games out of the playoff picture, and because, it appears as though he's blaming everyone besides himself. And it doesn't do yourself any good when you're playing defense that poorly and when you're essentially coming in the locker room and being the grumpy old guy who's putting all the blame on the young kids. And, in Cleveland, I think LeBron will always be hailed as a hero. When he left, he was ridiculed beyond belief. Jerseys were burned. But I think outside of Cleveland, LeBron can quickly become the villain of the NBA. Because, yes, he is outspoken. He does what he wants. He's so popular. He's always been controversial. But I feel like everything he does is so programmed. And it's rare to kind of get this organic sense out of him. And he's doing all these things in LA. And he's coming out with these shows on HBO. And he's producing films. And he's now working with rap artists. I think maybe, and this could just be a conspiracy, that he was just trying to bring in big name players to kind of take over the responsibility in LA. Hey, I'm going to come here and do all my things outside of basketball, so I'm just going to have someone come in that can take the reins. And he said this earlier this season, I'm not chasing anything anymore. I don't think he desires for NBA championships. I don't think he desires, to be heralded as the MVP, to be seen as the best player in the league. I don't really think he cares about that anymore. This is about his brand. This is about things outside of basketball. And bringing in Anthony Davis, he realized, hey, I can't keep doing this at the age of 34. I have to bring in a young gun to take over. So it was less about teaming up with someone to win a championship and more so about finding a babysitter in the meantime while you're out doing what you need to do or what you want to do. So back to the villain thing. The reason I say this is, in my opinion, he's kind of already completed his story arc in the NBA. And I compare this, and I've always viewed it, as kind of the mythological arc that Joseph Campbell uses in his book. And this is written all the way back in 1949, The Hero with 1,000 Faces. And Campbell argues that throughout history, in storytelling, books, novels, poetry, old wives' tales, these things, we have stories where someone experiences an arc similar to this, and it's very popularized and it's very digestible, and there's almost a formula to it. So this is how I have viewed LeBron's career. The way to break down this hero's journey, as it's called, is there's basically three parts. You have the departure, the initiation, and then the return. And you can relate this to stories all the way that go back with the Odyssey and Odysseus. You can relate it with films like Ben-Hur. You can relate it with Star Wars. Literally, Star Wars is the hero's journey. Watch it. You'll understand after we talk about it. So for me, LeBron, to start off this journey, he has to depart Cleveland. He has to go off and experience a series of challenges, go through adversity, kind of discover himself, which he does when he departs for Miami. Now, he is blasted for this. He is the villain of the NBA. Everyone hates him and the big three, and he's so terrible. He did cause a huge evolution in basketball because of this. But this is his departure. Now he has to prove himself. So he loses in that first season with Wade and Bosh, and they lose to the Mavericks. But he finally does get that championship, and they go back to back. That's his initiation. He's now been validated in the eyes of the greats, that we always compare him to. Here's his vindication. He's finally got a ring. He's finally done it. So he gets that initiation. And now that he's gone through this adversity, and now that he has, done what he had to do to get a couple of rings to be put into the quote GOAT conversation, he returns. He comes back to Cleveland. He is the hero. I remember the day he announced it. I was listening to Colin Cowherd. I was driving from Fresno to Santa Barbara to go back to school. LeBron wrote the letter, "I'm coming home." I mean, it was poetic. It really was. And like I said, LeBron is programmed. He knows exactly what he's doing. He did this to bring home a championship to Cleveland, to where he's from. And he also is doing this to make everyone else happy, which is what he's usually doing. So he's had this arc. He comes back to Cleveland. He defeats a 73-9 Warriors team, and he's done it all. He has validated himself not only in his eyes, but in the eyes of the Cleveland fans that, at one time hated him, and now they view him as a hero. So he's already done this arc. So now the question is, what is next? So this hero's journey has ended, and everything we're getting after this just seems like fluff. So why not go to LA? I'm 34 years old. I'm tired. I want to do bigger things. I make $100 million a year. I've got the shoe deal. I got myself producing stuff on HBO. I'm friends with all the rappers. I've started a school. I speak up for Colin Kaepernick. He does all of these things. So now I think he's in this weird limbo spot. But because he wants to make everyone happy, he's going to act like he's trying to make the Lakers better. I don't think he's enjoying it. I don't think he's having fun. And I think he's reached a point where his priorities and his interests have strayed from the basketball court. And there's nothing wrong with that. But a lot of Laker Nation, a lot of people, especially those in the Kobe camp, absolutely hate all of this because this is not what we're used to. We're used to having teams come together, everyone wants to go be a Laker, and everyone wants to go win a championship and beat the Celtics. And now what we're seeing is all of these free agents out there aren't even mentioning the Lakers in conversation, because why would you want to come in and be the shadow of LeBron? Why would you want to be this giant, distraction at all times? I don't think they want to do it. So in a weird way, I think LeBron has kind of completed his story arc, and I hope that's not true. But if you look at this departure, initiation, and return, he's done that. And now I think he's in this state of purgatory where unless he brings home a championship to LA, he's going to be criticized for this. And a lot of people will start to point the finger again and say he's not Michael Jordan and he's not Kobe and, he's not better than XYZ. So LeBron needs to stop pointing the finger. He needs to understand the optics of this situation, and hopefully he can turn it around. And I don't know if it's a good thing for the Lakers to make the playoffs. I don't know if it's better for them to not make it and it really causes everyone to kind of take a look in the mirror. But I fear for Luke Walton. I fear for the young core. And I begin to question if Magic is really in control of this whole operation or if it is, in fact, LeBron James. So I want everyone to relax. I mean, there is still a chance the Lakers can make it to the playoffs. And we know this year they're probably most definitely not going to beat the Warriors. I don't think anybody is. I think LeBron knows that. So as he said, this is an ongoing process. He's got a 4-year deal. There's still time to salvage this. But I worry about what all of his actions right now are doing and how they are affecting any free agents that are wanting to come into LA and whether or not they want to deal with this circus. But as a Laker fan, being selfish, I hope I'm wrong. I hope big free agents do come to LA. Hell, I'd even be okay with KD coming and he can take over the reins once LeBron leaves. Do I think he'll do that? No. I think KD wants to get more championships than LeBron. I think he wants to be validated as the best player in the league. So it's a lot of people questioning their brand. Do I want to be second fiddle behind LeBron? Or am I okay with just winning championships and chasing rings? But until the Warriors disband, essentially, I don't see how anyone takes them off the top, and I think LeBron understands that. But he's definitely not doing himself any good by receiving all of this negative media attention. And does he get slapped around more than anyone else? Yes. But at the same time, don't be posting all of these things about what you're doing off the court if you don't want heat for it. So between now and the next 23 games, we will see what happens. But as a Laker fan and as a fan of the NBA, I gotta say it's gonna be very exciting to watch. So we'll see. Thanks for listening to the Nolan Knows podcast. If you like what you hear, please like, share, and subscribe to hear more.